Hello and welcome back. I'm Savalian, a software dev slash creative. I make videos about software development, game design, creativity, whatever else I feel like. And today I'm going to review a game that I recently streamed a lot of on my Twitch channel. And the game is Timberborn. This is not sponsored, I bought the game myself, and this review is just something I'm doing because I want to. Good. All the official stuff is out of the way, and we can get into it. Timberborn is a colony sim, and you do a lot of typical colony sim stuff: place buildings, assign workers, manage resources, try to help your population survive. But the thing that makes Timberborn unique is that your colony is a colony of beavers. And it's not just an aesthetic change, which I thought was really interesting. The gameplay is designed almost completely around this idea that you have to manage the water on the map through different seasons. So you typically have a river running through the map. You can build dams and things like dams, levees, things like that. Redirect water elsewhere with dynamite. And then the game goes through these seasonal cycles where you have some number of days for the wet season and then some number of days for the drought or the dry season, depending on your difficulty level. When you start a new game, you can pick your map, your difficulty, and the type of beavers that you want to play with. There are currently two types of beavers. The folktales are unlocked by default, and they're kind of the farmers, easygoing kind of beavers. And then the Iron Teeth you can unlock by reaching an overall well-being of 15, so basically by making your colony happy enough overall by providing certain resources. And the Iron Teeth are a little bit more hardcore. They're a lot more focused on like science and industry than farming, which is what the folktales really focus on a lot more. And I won't talk too much about the Irontails because I thought discovering their differences myself without any spoilers was really fun. So the maps are not generated, even though they kind of have this voxel look to them. There is a map builder, so you can create a map or grab a custom one if you want to. But so far I've just been playing with the included maps. There are a few different ones, usually with a river somewhere down the middle. And I think the reason that the maps aren't generated is intentional, and I think it's to ensure that there is a path to survival, especially in the early game. So I think they have made this intentional decision to design the maps for the game so they can sort of direct the experience that the players are going to have. Timberborn starts like any colony sim. You have some workers to start out with, a few resources to get you going, and you have to start building up your colony. The building they put down at the very beginning is your district center, which is the base hub for your colony. This is where the builders are employed. You can add more builders later, but you get some to start out with here. And there is a limit to how far out you can build. As you create paths, they'll have this line on them that gets more and more red as they get further away, and then eventually they will stop, and that's the limit of your district. You can create additional districts, and that seems like an interesting facet of the game, but it's not something I've been able to do yet. It feels really late game. I haven't had the resources to sort of manage two populations of beavers, so that's there, but I don't have much to say about it. The core mechanic of the game is optimizing your beaver's well-being. There are many things that the beavers can have, and everything you fulfill will increase the score for that beaver, and then each individual beaver is averaged up for overall. Some of the things are easier to get, like water and some basic foods, and then some things are a lot harder, like maple pastries and books. But basically, there are all these different sections in the well-being menu for different foods, different fun and social activities, a lot of different other options for aesthetics, and the idea is to get as many points in all these different categories as you can. You can place storage buildings for materials and food, and also liquids. Liquids like water or maple syrup go in these big tubs, which I think is pretty fun. You do need paths to connect everything together, And then there are ways to generate power that are slightly different for the two types of beavers, but they both have at least a water wheel of some sort. So especially early game, power generation is very closely tied to water management. Like I said, everything is tied back to the cycle of the seasons and having access to water. And I really like how cohesive it all feels. I think they did a really great job designing how all of these systems fit together. As you build and expand your colony, logistics is something to keep an eye on. So you want to think about how far the beavers have to walk when they're carrying resources from one place to another, how far they have to go to get food and water when they're hungry and thirsty, and then also later when you have more types of buildings, like how far do they have to go to have fun in the evening after their work shift. You can change how long they work each day, but that's a balancing act, you know. If you make them work too late, they may not have time to visit the fun buildings and get points in those well-being areas. So all of these things are things that you'll need to balance out for your colony. What I really like about Timberborn is the progression. You have to use science points to unlock things, and then you need materials, of course, to actually build them. There's a hierarchy to a lot of the pieces that you can unlock. So like let's say bread, for example. In order to make bread, you need to farm wheat. You need to unlock the mill so you can grind the wheat into flour, and then you need to unlock the bakery and build the bakery. So there's a couple of pieces of the game where you have this process, this longer process where resources go through all these different changes. And I like the way that they've set up the progression between all those things. And the same thing is for explosives. You need forestry for lumber, you need to make paper, you need to use the paper to make explosives. And it's just a nice thing to say, I want to work towards this big goal, and then slowly unlock all the pieces you need to get there. There are a lot of buildings that are just for fun or only relevant if you want to play a certain way. I had a blast getting a huge water wheel built with some gravity batteries. That was my goal for generating power that would last through the drought. It was this huge water wheel with the batteries. And there were so many little things that I had to figure out before this whole thing could be built. The progression just feels very satisfying. I felt like I always had something to work towards, and it was enough effort that I felt like I earned it, but it wasn't too grindy, which was nice. And if you find that surviving is easy enough and you need something else to do, there are also some end game sort of features when your colony is larger and more stable. So there are several monuments that you can build that offer unique buffs to your colony, but they cost a lot to unlock. They're pretty expensive to build, and you need higher level materials, so it does take a while to get there. There are also some fun things. I built a carousel pretty much only because I thought it would be silly, and it was. It was a huge moment of triumph to finish the carousel and watch the beavers spin around on it. And like I mentioned before, you can also add districts when you filled up your starting district. And there are all these things you can do to manage the transfer of beavers and resources between your different districts that I haven't even had a chance to play with yet. But overall, I had a blast playing Timberborn. I was originally interested in this game because I thought it was cute, but then as I got into it, there's a surprising amount of depth to the gameplay. I can't say enough how impressed I am with the clarity of their game's design. Everything feels very intentional to me. They balanced all these different things against each other really well. And this core idea of, this game is really about water management because they're beavers. I just think that's brilliant. I think that's so smart to do it that way. And it is in early access right now, so there will likely be updates in the future to expand on what's already a very solid and very fun game. It feels very complete to me, so I look forward to seeing what else they do with it. I would recommend this game to anyone who likes colony sims, or to anyone who thinks beavers swimming around is the cutest thing ever. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you have been playing Timberborn, leave a comment telling me what is your favorite building. For me, it's gotta be the Lido. I just love watching those beavers swim around. But that's all for this video. I will be back soon with another video, so don't forget to smash that subscribe button, and I hope to see you there. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.